While visiting San Francisco, there are two must-see tourist attractions. There are tourist attractions and locations of great misery. The Golden Gate Bridge has been the scene of 1,700-plus suicides since the bridge opened in 1937. 98% of the jumpers died, and even a couple lived long enough to come back and try it again. They involved adults and some children. Today, there are active patrols that watch for signs of potential suicide, such as people pacing back and forth or acting erratically, carrying belongings in visible plastic bags, or placing belongings down at their feet. Or presumably, in today's techno world, taking that last dumb selfie. For those outside of the area and unaware, this is a toll bridge, and you have to pay in advance in order to use it. There's no fee for going across it out of the city, but coming back for a regular two-axle vehicle is $7.50. You have to pay online or by phone before you cross, or they'll take a picture of your license plate and send it to your address, not only the $7.50, but also a $25 fee for not paying in advance. There are no cash payments permitted. Out in the base, that's Alcatraz Island, the rock, the subject of this video. If you look on the U.S. Park Service website, you'll see the tours listed. They have the regular tours, which are the ones up here, which depart every few minutes and basically contain, hundreds of people. If you jump onto one of these tours, you'll never be alone no matter where you go. Then there's the night tour, which is the same thing, although at night, and charge a few dollars more. And the behind-the-scenes tour, which is the subject of this video. This is the one we took. In my opinion, this is the one you want to take. It's about $50 more than the other tours, but it's restricted to about 30 people, and it's guided. You have a park ranger, a docent with you, who takes you behind the scenes, places where the public's not generally allowed. Without all those people, you have the ability to see things that you couldn't see, photograph them without people being in your way, perhaps even smuggle a K2 or some other meter in that nobody notices. And if you're thinking, well, I don't want to spend that $87.50 for a private tour, it's not that important, I'll save the $50. No, you're not really going to save it. It's going to cost you almost that much to park for the day at Fisherman's Wharf. If you're going to do it, and you're only going to be here once like we did, do it right. Now on this website, when you see these lines here pertaining to both the behind-the-scenes tour and the night tour, it doesn't mean that the tours aren't given. It means they're sold out. These two specialized tours sell out weeks, months in advance, and if you're coming to the San Francisco area, you should book this first before doing anything else. And there are other websites which sell cruises. When you're looking for a cruise to get out there and the actual tour, look for this logo. This logo shows this is a National Park Authorized Concessionaire.
That's what we gonna do. We're going from one building to another.
It's very hard to predict the weather in San Francisco. The previous day when we were at the Golden Gate Bridge, it was warm and sunny. Today when we took the tour, it was rainy and overcast and very cold. And the wind on the rock can be much stronger than it is on the San Francisco area, so be sure to dress appropriately. A nice overcast rainy day today. Once you debark from the tour boat, your guide will assemble you in a group, and he will give you a sticker to wear on the outside of your garments, although it seems like just a park formality. Don't let yours blow off into the bay as mine did, or every time you're around the island and a park ranger sees you, he's going to confront you as to where you're supposed to be and what tour you're with. Trust me, I know. Our particular tour sticker was round and green, the same color as our website logo, and just like the one this guy's wearing here. This behind-the-scenes tour is a 4.5-hour tour, and this short review is only intended to demonstrate the quality of the tour that you can expect. You'll spend the first 3 hours with your private docent. The last hour and a half you'll intermix with the rest of the visitor population coming in from the other tour lines. And then you'll know what I mean. There'll be so many people on the island in the cell block, you won't be able to move around freely. The first question that comes to mind is, are there restrooms?
What?
Yes, there are, down by the loading dock and up on a hill. But there will be some walking in between. Also, you'll have to check with the Park Service as far as access for the disabled and age restrictions. There were no kids in our group, if that's a hint.
They had over 100 cannons here. Believe me, they wanted to protect that gold. So again, Sentinel on the bay. But during the 19th century, more and more army inmates were put on Alcatraz, especially after the Civil War.
They were oh, declining the path.
This is the restricted tunnel leading down to the area where the 1996 movie The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage was filmed.
I feel like a dinosaur. Got this thing.
Our docent described the movie as having a plot that was not that linear.
Alcatraz Island, put it on mute, get rid of the dialogue. The whole plot was not that linear. But watch behind the actors.
I've got them where if you want, but I put them through my washing machine. That's why they look like this. They're very clean. Yeah.
Interestingly, after the next switchback going up this ramp, I got a couple of hits on the cell sensor unit, indicating that there's something in the area. It just basically flew by. There was no electricity in the area that could have caused it, and I could not reproduce it by my own means. What it was doing out there, I have no idea.
Down there. And then in the basement, they had 2 bowling alleys and a couple of pool tables. Correctional officers used to staff a soda fountain for the kids. And they would do this on their off time. Schedule well into the night. So here you're a correctional officer, you finish your shift, not a bad commute. There's the commute right there. State grand larceny. It was a crime you committed while you were serving time at another federal institution. So this would be as you're serving time at Leavenworth, McNeil Island, Atlanta, Georgia. So, the crime they committed on the inside, what do you suppose the most common crime committed on the inside was?
Trying to escape.
Escapes. Or escape attempts. These guys were pretty slick. Most of them were successful at escaping from other institutions many times. So the point I wanted to make is you had the pros from Dover arriving on Alcatraz, the escape artists. There's something missing on the island. If you got the escapers arriving on Alcatraz, there is a defensive feature that's not here, that most penal systems have. What's missing? The wall. Where's the wall? Look at the room with the view. Right up there, you get a nice view of Berkeley. On the west side of the prison, inmates watch them build the Golden Gate Bridge. So where are the walls of Alcatraz? They're here.
The ocean.
San Francisco Bay. They had to outsource it to China. Yet 80 miles from here, we got mountain range of granite. If you were a quarryman, if you had that skill set, you did not come to California in the 1850s to quarry granite. You came here looking for gold. So they didn't have the labor source or the skill set to take advantage of that natural resource. So they outsourced it to China.
Was that your camera?
No, umbrella.
Mira, se parece mucho a la de San Agustín.
Well, time for the infrared.
Temperature is always the same. The old days, it's this temperature, one day outside, this temperature. Now, something I want to point out is right here. What do you suppose this is here? It's a glass window. Why does it have a hole in it?
For a gun? For talking?
It's called a clear line of fire.
Yep, for a gun.
You have a window down there. You can see that. You have a window here. And everywhere you see one of these windows, there's a clear line of fire. You put your 30-06 rifle and you can shoot all the way down there. There were correctional officers at these windows all around the prison wall, not inside them. Then you had up here in the gun gallery, you had another guy up there with a big rifle and all of his pistols. You were always watching your behavior. The ratio here was 3-to-1. For every 3 inmates, you had 1 correctional officer. Always constant control. It gives you a good idea, just feeling this prison tight. Now, everyone in my group, we're going to go into A block. We're going to gather in A block. I want to point out something in A block, and then we're going to go back to the fort. So follow me. National Park. Illustrations. I'm sure you take pictures and see your park. Park system is fantastic. So, I want people to... So Alcatraz is decommissioned 1908, and they're going to build the prison at the site of the Citadel. So here's the Citadel here. Here's a model of the old lighthouse here. See, this was the short guy. This is the one they had to replace. So they start tearing down the Citadel, and what they discover is this. It's really strong. It's so strong that they decide to use the foundation, the first floor of the Citadel, as the foundation for the prison. So what we have around this is the dry moat. Back to our dry moat. And you can see the entrance there with the You got the drawbridge there covering the dry moat. So the first floor of the Citadel is right below our feet. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to the fort. I'm going to take you down to the Citadel, take you into the dry moat, and I want to talk about what the Bureau of Prisons used that location for. I want to talk also about some of the damage that was done down there and the repairs we had to do.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
That thing is on fire.
Yeah, it's like
a year ago, we had that special.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, people bring that up and say, what about that? I learned one thing from that history. Man, can't go down. And purist art here would say, there are no dungeons on Alcatraz. I mean, the isolation of the dark cells was the isolation D block, was the isolation cell block. You'll see that on the audio tour. Then we found a document describing this area down here. It was written by the warden of Alcatraz to the director of the Bureau of Prisons. The guy was named Bennett. And Warden Johnston was explaining to the director what they were using for a total isolation incarceration. And they were using it down here. This was used as total isolation, aka the dungeon.
These are older. Yeah, they're from the military. And they're considered minimum security. Yeah. So you could probably notice a lot of differences, even though, you haven't spent too much time in the cell house. You can probably, start to pick up on some of the differences over here versus the rest of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they started to read beginning of D block, C block, subsequently D block, by the time they came back over to A.
About 3 hours into the tour, the other tour boats will arrive, and you'll end up standing in a hellaciously long line in order to get the audio headsets for the audio tour. Due to the amount of people everywhere, you will also lose your freedom to move about.
Let's see a picture of that. Not good, but handful of
Many paranormal investigators attribute activity found within the cell blocks to that of Robert Stroud, who was of course known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Actually a misnomer, because by the time he got to Alcatraz he wasn't permitted to keep birds. After being convicted of murdering a bartender in Alaska for refusing to pay one of Stroud's prostitutes, Stroud was first sent to McNeil Island, Washington, and finally to Leavenworth, Kansas. While in solitary confinement in Leavenworth is where he did all of his studies on canaries. He also stabbed a prison guard to death, which got him sent to Alcatraz. He would spend 17 years of his life here at Alcatraz, but he didn't actually die here. He was sent to a prison hospital in Missouri where he spent his last days. That's not to say that there weren't deaths. The 1946 escape attempt known as Battle of Alcatraz left 2 guards and 3 inmates dead. One guard was shot dead in this cell where his memoriam is. The 3 inmates were killed in utility quarter cell block C. These utility quarters have now been covered with glass and are inaccessible to the public on any of the tours. And then there were the escape attempts. The June 1962 escape of the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, and co-inmate Frank Morris may have been successful. The Anglin brothers may have made it to South America, although we really don't know what happened to Frank Morris. His may have been the body found floating 20 miles out in the sea after the escape. As successful as theirs might have been, other inmates were shot dead during escape attempts. Well, that's a long ways down these cell blocks. And the Park Service says another 28 inmates died of murder, suicide, or natural causes. Solitary confinement, cell block D, is where most of the television paranormal groups focus their investigations on. Solitary confinement. But I spoke with docents in private, docents that have spent sitting all night with those groups, And they told me they were never convinced that they captured anything. Our time was very limited. We were in cell block D alone, as everybody else had already headed down to the dock to debark for loading. Well, it looks like here we are and trying to get some K2 hits in solitary confinement, and we got a couple of small hits, but nothing that's substantial. And we're the only one in this particular cell block, so I guess we are going to take off ourselves here. Then the final air blast warned us, leave now or stay on the rock all night.